before investigators uncovered the truth. Before international headlines exposed one of the most disturbing family murder cases in recent history. Before a quiet husband became the center of a global manhunt. There was a small home in Hopkinton, Massachusetts. Inside that home, a young mother and her infant daughter had been brutally murdered. And the husband? He had already boarded a flight across the Atlantic. This is the story of Neil Entwistle. A man who appeared to have the perfect family life. Until everything collapsed in the most horrifying way imaginable. Welcome back to the channel. If you enjoy detailed true crime documentaries, criminal investigations, and real cases that reveal the darkest parts of human behavior, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Today, we examine the shocking murders committed by Neil Entwistle. A case that stunned both the United States and the United Kingdom. To the outside world, Neil Entwistle appeared ordinary. He was intelligent, quiet, educated, and soft-spoken. Born in England, Neil studied computer engineering and later met an American woman named Rachel. Rachel was outgoing, friendly, and came from a close family. The relationship moved quickly. Eventually, the couple married and relocated to the United States, settling in Massachusetts. Soon after, they welcomed their daughter, Lillian Rose. From the outside, they looked like a happy young family beginning a new chapter of life. But behind closed doors, financial problems were growing worse. Neil struggled to maintain stable employment. Investigators later discovered mounting debt, financial deception, and growing pressure inside the marriage. And according to people close to the family, Rachel had started questioning Neil's honesty. The image of the perfect husband was beginning to crack. On January 20th, 2006, Rachel's mother became concerned after repeated phone calls went unanswered. Something felt wrong. Eventually, a family member went to the home in Hopkinton. Inside, they made a horrifying discovery. Rachel Entwistle and 9-month-old Lillian Rose were dead. The scene stunned investigators. Rachel had been shot. And beside her was baby Lillian. The quiet suburban home instantly became an active homicide scene. Police rushed to gather evidence, interview relatives, and identify possible suspects. But one detail immediately stood out. Neil Entwistle was gone. Not only was he missing, he had already fled the country. Authorities soon learned that shortly after the murders, Neil boarded an international flight back to England. For investigators, that raised immediate suspicion. A grieving husband doesn't normally disappear across the world after his wife and child are found murdered. And now, the search for answers became international. As detectives examined the crime scene, they began uncovering disturbing details about Neil's life. Financial records showed serious debt. Credit cards had reportedly been maxed out. Investigators discovered evidence suggesting Neil had lied about employment opportunities and financial stability. The pressure inside the home had been building for months. But financial problems alone could not explain the brutality of the murders. Then investigators uncovered another important detail. The murder weapon. Evidence pointed toward a gun connected to Rachel's family. Detectives believed Neil had used that weapon before fleeing the United States. And according to prosecutors, his actions after the killings were incredibly calculated. instead of contacting police. Instead of reporting an emergency, Neil allegedly packed his belongings, drove away, and boarded a flight to London. The timeline painted a chilling picture. This wasn't panic. Investigators believed it was planned. After arriving in England, Neil Entwistle stayed with family members while news coverage exploded internationally. American investigators worked closely with British authorities to track his movements. Meanwhile, media attention intensified. The story shocked audiences on both sides of the Atlantic. A young father accused of murdering his own wife and infant daughter before escaping overseas. It sounded almost unbelievable. Then, in a dramatic development, Neil agreed to speak publicly. During television interviews, he denied involvement in the murders. He appeared calm, emotionally controlled, soft-spoken. But many viewers noticed something unsettling. His behavior seemed detached, cold. Investigators continued building their case. And eventually, authorities moved toward extradition. Neil Entwistle would be sent back to the United States to face murder charges. The trial captured enormous public attention. Prosecutors argued that Neil murdered Rachel and baby Lillian because his carefully constructed life was collapsing. Financial deception, personal failure, pressure from family responsibilities. According to the prosecution, Neil chose murder instead of facing the truth. The courtroom heard evidence about debt, internet searches, financial struggles, and the timeline surrounding the killings. Jurors also learned about Neil's behavior immediately afterward. Rather than seeking help, he fled the country. Prosecutors described the murders as deliberate and calculated. The defense attempted to challenge aspects of the investigation and evidence. But the prosecution's timeline remained powerful. Especially the fact that Neil boarded a flight to England shortly after the murders. For many observing the case, that detail became impossible to ignore. After hearing weeks of testimony, the jury reached a decision. Neil Entwistle was found guilty of murdering his wife and infant daughter. The courtroom fell silent as the verdict was read. For Rachel's family, the decision brought some measure of justice. But no verdict could undo the devastation left behind. A mother was gone. A baby was gone. An entire family had been destroyed forever. Neil Entwistle was sentenced to life in prison. And one of the most disturbing family murder cases involving both the United States and the United Kingdom officially came to an end. Cases like this often leave people asking the same question. Why? How does someone appear normal, loving, even trustworthy, while secretly hiding financial collapse, deception, and violent intentions? Criminal psychologists have long studied family annihilation cases. In many situations, the perpetrator feels trapped. Financial pressure, fear of exposure, shame, loss of control, and rather than facing consequences, they attempt to erase the life they can no longer maintain. What makes the Entwistle case especially disturbing is how ordinary everything appeared beforehand. Neighbors saw a normal couple. Friends saw parents raising a child. But beneath that image, investigators say a completely different reality existed. The murders of Rachel and Lillian Entwistle remain one of the most heartbreaking family murder cases of the 2000s. A case involving deception, financial pressure, and unimaginable violence hidden behind the appearance of an ordinary life. It serves as another reminder that sometimes the darkest crimes happen behind closed doors, where nobody expects them. If you enjoyed this documentary and want more detailed true crime cases, criminal investigations, and psychological breakdowns, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And let me know in the comments, what true crime case should we cover next? Thanks for watching. And until next time, stay safe. Subscribe for more true crime documentaries. New cases every week. Real stories. Real investigations.